Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, always a pleasure to talk to our friend Joshua Youssef. He is the founder of Help the Persecuted. He's on with us today. A little bit about Help the Persecuted. They rescue, restore, and rebuild the lives of persecuted brothers around the world. In fact, last year, they helped somewhere around 46,000 persecuted believers. It's really cool. Josh, so glad you could hang with us today. How are you?
I'm great, and thanks for having me on, Rick and Dan. This is always a treat.
Looking good, and you've got a new background there.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody knows that it's htp.org. I love it. It's great.
That's right. I got a talented team.
Hey, we love hanging with you, and we love what you're all about. We've had you on many, many times, and we appreciate your time. Let's talk before we get into business. Did you have a great? How was the holiday for you with the kids?
Well, we battled Omicron. We all
Oh,
Well, that's fun.
so we're glad to be on this side of it, though. It's good.
Yeah, really.
thank God. That is good. All right, well, let's talk. Here it is, 2022. As I mentioned last year, 46,000 plus. You guys helped. I noticed on the website a little bit about Afghanistan, crisis in Afghanistan. Where do you want to go? You want to talk about Afghanistan? What do you want to talk about today?
Well, Afghanistan has been front and center for us. I've told people that this has been the craziest 100 to 120 days of my life. Middle of August, we got a call from one of our partners, and they said, "We need your help getting Christians out of Afghanistan." So we began to work through, contacts that we had both on the political side and then on the NGO side to see how possible that would be out of Kabul airport. And of course, you had this series of events that happened that really prevented a lot of the people who really needed to get out couldn't get out. And unfortunately, in that August 15th to the kind of September 1 timeframe, I think it was Senator Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee who said that less than 3% of those people were actually what they call SIV holders, people with a special immigration visa who had access, the ability to come to America. And so it was just this chaotic time where people were just basically kind of throwing bodies on planes and trying to get them out, but not asking the real hard questions, the relevant questions of who they are. In the days that followed, so kind of really the month of September, we began moving people to safe houses, to other locations outside of Kabul to begin working on flight evacuations. And we partnered with a few people on that front. And it was a real challenge because you had, the U.S. was kind of negotiating from a position of weakness. And you had the Taliban were not allowing certain flights to leave. Some flights could leave, and I think people were probably getting paid off. But ultimately, we safe housed about 545 folks. About 80% of those were Christians. We had some Hazaras that really, I call them Rahabs. They were protecting the Christians and keeping them safe. And then on October 20th, we flew 2 aircraft out with 545 on board.
Wow.
And we flew them to Abu Dhabi. They're still in Abu Dhabi. We're trying to get them out into a what I call last mile country, like the United States or Canada or Brazil. And we're just praying that we get that done quickly so that we can do more flights and get more people out. They're talking about 24 million people starving in Afghanistan this winter.
Wow.
The stories are, I was telling our team this morning, I almost have to tune them out because it can so just debilitate you in terms of your effectiveness. So we try to stay focused on getting these people out of these lily pad countries and then hopefully do more flights.
So the flights from Afghanistan, are you having a hard time getting out of the Kabul airport still, or is it more open than it was when we were hearing about all the evacuations?
Right. So we moved our flights to a separate airport outside of Kabul. And most people know where it is, but yeah, it's just a city in the north.
Okay.
That's where we were able to do a lot of the work. And there's a lot of reasons why the north is a preferable evacuation point, but yeah, it just has been they've allowed a little more activity.
Huh. That's good.
We're talking with Josh Youssef from Help the Persecuted. We're specifically talking about Afghanistan. And I know this is not a political show, but pardon my ignorance. Did anybody smell this coming? I mean, were the Christians prepared at all? Was it just like, what's going down? How did that throw everybody in a tailspin as far as Christian believers and leaders?
Sometimes I struggle with what to share,
Yeah.
but there's so many good stories. One story is a military contractor in Afghanistan who'd established a very trusted partnership with some Afghans, and he had a cash house, basically just a house full of U.S. dollar bills. And so we were using him as a way to get money in and out of the country and to pay for certain things and pay for safe housing and food for these people. And I said to him, I said, when did you start storing up all this cash? And he said, oh, back in. Well, what did you know? He goes, we all knew this was coming.
Hmm.
And I said, well, the administration didn't think that this was coming, but he said, no, he said, everybody on ground knew this was coming. And we began
Wow.
to plan and prepare for this eventuality.
Hmm.
So, that's, I'm sure, I don't think history is going to look back on favorably on this administration as it relates to this specific issue.
No, it's
There were
already
just-
not looking on it favorably.
There's so many missteps along the
Yeah.
way. I mean, at one point I had previous administration officials working with me to create kind of a, almost like we were just using letterhead and trying to write these letters. We were actually emailing Taliban commanders directly.
Hmm.
My wife was saying, I don't want those people. I don't even want those email addresses on your computer.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Wow.
Wow. Well, we appreciate all that you do, and of course, all the folks there on the ground that are a part of it. I mean, you'd be the first to say it's more than you. It's an entire team and the folks there. And I mean, if you look at, and I'm this again, it's not a media bashing as well, but you hear nothing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like,
Crickets.
what's the next thing?
Yeah.
The next thing is, Beyonce had another baby. I don't know,
Right.
but I mean, it's just everybody's moved on. It's like, well, wait a minute, it's not finished. What's going on here? So,
Yeah.
how can folks help? How can we help?
we are, we believe that we have a window of opportunity to get more folks out. And that's what we're gearing up for. These flights are quite expensive. We're at about $2,000 a seat.
Wow.
So, I know that seems like a lot of money, but a dear friend of mine, a guy who runs a foundation, said, Josh, $2,000 to save a life, it's not a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we're gearing up for that. We're also working on some in-country projects. So trying to get resources into the country, both food security, this kind of a food security issue as well. And then other avenues out. So maybe not just flights, but there's some other border countries that have become more viable in terms of getting people out. And so we're looking and exploring those as well. And really, as people add this to their prayer list, pray for the people who are stuck in these lily pad countries, either in Middle Eastern countries or European countries. Pray for leaders and pray that that they would begin to open up their borders to these people. Many of these people served alongside our troops. I mean, it's really hard to hear. I've had many Marines and former Army and Air Force and so forth, people who served along these Afghans who maybe they were interpreters for these people. And you've got these Marines who like their voices crack when you're talking to them, and they're really emotional. I've watched former military almost come unwound as a result of the stress of getting, WhatsApp messages and text messages from their former interpreters back in Afghanistan, and they just feel helpless. And then, of course, the Christian community, we've been able to get a lot out. I think there's over, we believe there could be up to 3,000 Christians in Humanitarian City in Abu Dhabi. The Christian population left could be in the 500 to 1,000 range, we think, in country. But they are a target. Taliban have made that very clear. They're not for conversion. They are against any kind of conversion from Islam. and they're going to pay a heavy price if they're exposed.
Wow.
Hey, you can help out, help the persecuted. And as you can see there in Josh's background, it's htp.org. A great place to go to. What do you see for other things in 2022, Josh? I know sometimes you can't mention countries or peoples, and that's okay. But what's coming up for you in 2022?
In Lebanon, we're struggling in Lebanon. It's a great hub for us. It's a great ministry hub for us because of the Christian Muslim population. There's more Christians there, and so and the way the government's structured, it's got a lot more freedom. But the inflation is about 400%.
Wow.
Prices of fuel and other things have gone way up, and so the instability in Lebanon is concerning. We've had some persecution even in Egypt recently. Egypt's seen a lot of good steps forward politically, but there still are elements of the Muslim Brotherhood and other radical elements still there operating. Representative has received pretty credible threats. Not just him, but a partner church of ours has also received credible threats against him and his wife and his children and others. And so, things do seem like they're heating up. It seems like we do go through these kind of peaks and valleys, and it seems like there is an increase in both persecution as well as just instability, government instability.
Joshua Youssef, thanks for what you do, the work that you and your organization does to help these people. And again, you can go to htp.org and help right now. Any financial help you can give for the folks in Afghanistan, they so need it right now. So help them out if you can. Yeah,
Josh, appreciate you. We'd love to catch up with you in the spring if you're up for it.
I would love that. I love you guys. And you were one of the first interviews I did when we launched HTP. So I'm grateful for you guys.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. htp.org. We got to take a break. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.